So I'm back in my backyard, and I'm actually sick as a dog, but I wanted to come out. Case in point, I wanted to come out here and test my new knife. This is the elemental knife, and I kind of call this the wilderness Barong. I made this at the Night Forge studio under the tutelage of Jason Knight last weekend. He calls it the elemental knife. It's basically just a hand forged to finish knife. Basic maple handle, and yeah, it was great fun. Jason has these classes a couple times a month during the spring and during the fall, and I was privileged to be able to attend. So anyway, as I said, I'm sick, but I just couldn't wait to come out here and just play around with this a little bit. This is a good size. My original design was 9 inches. Jason basically recommended a different point than what I had. And, the belly would have been the same, except, I would have probably cut it to here. But, this pointiness could come in handy. But anyway, it's a good size. It's a little bit forward in its weight, which is, great for a chopper, but I don't really mean it to be a chopper. I kind of mean it to be more of an all-around woods knife. And I'm typically not very... I typically don't like weight forward kind of, chopper feels, but this actually has, really, really good balance. So I like it a lot. And even though it's the weight is forward of the choil, there is no choil. Even though the weight is forward of the handle, it's not it's not terrible. Everybody that knows me knows that I like a good choil, and of course this knife does not have a choil. But I did design it so that, I don't know what you call this part of the knife, I don't know. I know typically you've got a ricasso area over here, but I don't really think this is really the ricasso. But anyway, whatever this is, I designed that so it would come forward, maybe more than a little bit, maybe more than some of the other knives that were in the class. I also designed the handle, so the handle would come forward on the knife a little bit more than, some of my classmates. And with the idea there is I could really choke up here, and if I don't have a choil, at least I can, I'm just maximizing the amount of area where I can choke up. And I've also, this part here really isn't sharp. Well, it's starting to rain, so I'm gonna have to try this another day. It's a big piece of apricot. That. Cake. Splits wood fine. Now, this is seasoned apricot. Now, this is Chinese pistache. It's really hard. You see this right here? The last knife I was testing on this, I actually destroyed it on this wood. So, this may not be the smartest idea. Actually, it's doing it. I'm not being real accurate, but it's doing a pretty good job. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. No damage to the knife whatsoever. Like I say, the last knife I tested, yeah, it was not a fun sight. I've cut this up with 3V. Haven't had any issues. This is 80 Sierra V2. Seems to be pretty tough stuff. You can see how it reverberates off the wood if I don't get a good bite. I mean, that's how hard it is. Huh, at the right angle, this really wants to bite in. But I've got to come in, I've got to come in from the side to get it to really bite. If I come down, at a steep angle, it doesn't really seem to be doing it, but those shallow angles, yeah, it really wants to bite. But you can hear, you can hear every once in a while, it just sounds like, metal on metal. And you can see it coming straight down, it's not as effective. But one slice down the middle should do it. Yep. Well, that's cool. Well, that was pine. That's fairly easy to do that with pine. Let's see how this goes. Another piece of pine. Now, um, if this was the Chinese pistache, there's no way I could cut it in half with one hack. But let's see. Good piece of pine. Oh, almost. Let's try that again. There we go. Now that was pine. This is Chinese pistache. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that with this. Yeah, but it still went about halfway through. So that's pretty good. And there was absolutely no edge damage at all. And like I said, this Chinese pistache is pretty heavy stuff. I mean, it's really, really hard. And you can see it's gotten plenty of use today. But as you can see, there's absolutely no damage to the edge. And as I was saying, you know, this Chinese pistache stuff is really hard. Yeah, so that's my new knife. Probably gonna have to do a little work on this. You know, maybe sharpen up the spine a little bit so I can get it to spark a ferro rod. I'll sharpen it up a bit. I just did a quick sharpening on the belt at Jason's. I've got a Wicked Edge sharpener, so I'll put this on there, and it'll be ready for me to use in the backcountry. Yeah, so it's turned out to be a really great knife. I'm really excited about it. It was a lot of fun making it with Jason. He let me put a little personal touch on it, kind of made it, you know, I mean, I said it was the wilderness barong, and so I kind of gave it that sort of southern Philippines touch there. I'll need to work with this a little bit more, get to know it a little bit better. You know, I'll sharpen it up a little bit more than I had at the shop. You know, it's not hair popping sharp, and it doesn't need to be hair popping sharp, right? I mean, it's a big knife. It's going to be doing a lot of heavy duty, but you know, it is nice to have a sharp knife if I want to get up and do some closer stuff here with the edge. You know, in feather sticking, I could probably sharpen it a little bit for that. But yeah, this will probably get the nod for my backpacking knife this year. I've needed a bigger knife in the backcountry simply because where I've been going recently has been a lot of old trails that aren't maintained, and so especially with the winter that we've had, there's going to be a lot of fallen timber. So this will help me get through some of that, whereas the knife that I've been carrying in the past really doesn't address that sort of thing that well. It was great making this knife with Jason Knight. If you get the opportunity, you should definitely do it. So I realized I really hadn't talked much about the knife itself, what the dimensions were, why I designed it the way that I designed it. Going into the class, I knew that we would be making larger knives. If you've seen the pictures from the class, you see that Jason prefers sort of an 11-inch knife for chopping, and so I knew it would have that. Most of the knives that come out of the class, have a swedge. I was really looking for something a little bit smaller that I could take with me backpacking, but it would still be proficient enough to chop through some of the fallen timber that I've been experiencing on the lighter used trails. I've got some very old trail maps, and a lot of the trails that I hike are no longer maintained. They're still there. People still use them. There are, in cases, there are trail ducks in some cases, but with the winters that we've been having, There's been a lot of fallen timber, and you know, I'm not going to hack through a tree with this, but you know, I just needed something to get through all of that brush that was coming down. So just, you know, branches that were over the trail. So I came into the class thinking that I wanted to, you know, to make a 9 or 10-inch knife with a wider belly that you know, was somewhat compact and had that wider belly to sort of add a little bit more weight to it. And help me, you know, help me chop. The knife is 15.5 inches from tip to butt. The blade is just over 9 3/4 inches measured from the tip through the middle section of the handle. At its widest point, right about here, it's 2.5 inches, and down here it tapers to 2 inches. And I'm really digging it.